need a light, so I can smoke away this pain. I need a light, so I can smoke away this pain. I need a light.
All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Elevated Culture, brought to you by The Clinic. I am, as always, I'm your host, Matthew Stafford, and with me for the third time, don't call it a comeback, Patrick Libinate. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, Matthew.
Thanks for coming back in again.
Absolutely.
I think you are now the co-host of Elevated Culture.
It's like squatting rights.
It
I
is
just
squatting
keep sitting
rights.
in this seat. Yeah, it's mine.
I don't think Ryan's ever coming back.
Forget that guy.
He wants to, but he says he does. He's like, how's it been going? I was like, thanks for listening. I really appreciate that. I shouldn't have said all those nice things about him.
No, he's done.
Yeah, he's done.
We don't need him.
He's dead to us. But we appreciate his service. So
yes.
Thanks for coming back. Well, we got some very special guests in the studio today. So we have, is it like 1/6, 1/7, 1/8, or like an 8th, 2/7 of the band, hailing from Boulder, Colorado, Denver, Colorado,
Denver,
the Motet. We got Ryan Jalbert here. How
What's
you doing?
happening? I'm good.
Doing good, man. Parris, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How y'all doing?
Doing good. Lighting up that blunt.
Yeah, I got to pass to my guy Jalbert. I had to get that started first.
Yeah, had to get that started. Yeah. So what's going on, guys? We appreciate you coming in and being on the podcast.
Appreciate y'all having us. We're really excited about this strain we collaborated with you guys on. StarMatter 303. Do a little ad drop.
Yeah, little ad drop. It's an exciting ad drop too. Yeah. It's one of those things that it's in the pods right now, the PAX Era pods, exactly. And it's something that's flown off the shelves because right now it's actually sold out while we're in production of more, which we'll be dropping at the stores very soon here. But like seeing that many people come in right away for your guys' strain is awesome, and I love how it's branded on the actual pod itself with your logo and everything. The whole thing's awesome. How did that sort of come about? Is that something that you've always wanted to do, work with a cannabis company and have a strain that you guys have worked with?
We have been wanting to do this for a long time. We just haven't found the right company, so we were really excited that you guys wanted to link up with us and make it happen. We've been kicking around this idea for quite a while now, and we've seen other bands have their strains, and we've had a little jealousy, so the time was right.
Yeah.
We're super pumped, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's a really good collaboration, and I mean, Ryan, you and I have known each other for a long, long time.
At least 10 years.
At least 10 years, yeah. It's been a while, so it's been a while since we've seen each other, so I'm glad that like this whole connection happened and that we were able to meet up today and do the podcast. So when you guys were looking for a strain, did everybody have an input on what cross you guys wanted? How did that work collectively as a group and as a band? Because I'm assuming like the StarMatter 303, that I have a lot of favorites about both of the strains, the Stardawg Guava and the 303. And I think when they're fused together, they actually do like represent the Motet really well.
Appreciate that.
The flavor, the high, like everything combined. So how did that process go? Was it something that, a couple of people had talked about, or is it something that you guys picked out the strains and kind of worked with that?
So when we were when we were talking about the strain, originally we came to the clinic and they kind of presented 3 strains that were basically unnamed, and that they had grown but didn't do anything with, essentially. And as a group, we talked about the things that we were looking for in a strain, and 3 of us actually went, Jalbert, myself, and Drew, our sax player, and we went to their grow house and we checked out their whole operation. We checked out the different strains that they had presented to us, and they gave us some samples to take home, actually. And we went home, smoked, and basically talked as a group, and came down to the decision that the 303 OG Stardawg Guava mix was the one for you guys. Was the one for us, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish we could say that we, chose the parents and did all that from the ground up, but I mean, we I think the door is open for us to do that in the future with you guys. I think we had that conversation. So
I think it definitely is. I'm sure you guys met Jay, our head breeder, master cultivator.
I actually have Jay's number. Me and Jay text. He's
okay.
Yeah, Jay's a cool dude. If you're listening, shout out to Jay.
That was a swipe right all the way. I was like, these two are gonna get along real well.
Absolutely. Jay's a boss. He really is.
He knows so much. I mean, every time I go over there, anytime I need to talk to him, I run over, and I think it's going to be a 2-minute conversation. I'm there for at least an hour, and he loves to talk, but he knows what he's talking about. You know, they're like people who love to talk, but they don't necessarily know what they're talking about. Jay knows what he's talking about, and he's very passionate about what he does, and he's very good at it. You know, when you said that there were kind of 3 crosses that you guys kind of got to choose between at this point, I've been paying attention to that and Jay's always uses me as like a tester also.
Absolutely.
So when he's like working with the parents and he comes up with the different phenotypes, you know, him or Josh Malman, I know you know Josh.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he says, hey, by the way.
What's good, Josh?
But yeah, so so they'll bring the samples over, and so they'll actually like, you know, put a letter on each one, and they'll give me and a bunch of other people around the office, you know, phenotypes to sample, and then we all give our feedback, and so we don't know what phenotypes are which ones, and then they do it again and again until we find like the exact one that we're trying to do. So it's a big group effort. It's not just popping a bunch and saying, I think this one's the best. It's actually running it through everyone at the clinic and the bank and the lab, and making sure that everyone's like tasting it and like has an input.
I'm glad you guys do it that way, honestly, because it probably would have been a little overwhelming for us to start from the ground up. Now that we've had this whole collaboration, we've seen your operation, and we've gone through it with you guys, it might be easier to start from the ground up. But from where we were, our position, and everything that we're going through right now, trying to get ready for Red Rocks and New Orleans and everything, and just all of this upcoming tour, you guys did definitely help a lot when it came down to making our options a lot easier.
We're just happy that it all worked out and that we had something that actually like jived with you guys.
Absolutely.
You know, like that you wanted to actually pick, and you weren't like, oh, you have 3 strains and this is what we have to pick. We don't like any of these. You know, that wouldn't be good.
That was actually the coolest part, is when we went to the grow house, the strains were presented to us, and they were honest with us. They said, if you don't like these, let us know, and we'll figure something else out. We can actually start from the ground up if you want. We can crossbreed any of these different strains. They showed us multiple options, and luckily we did like the options that they gave us. The one that we landed on, this StarMatter 303 that we named, is like an A+ collaboration, essentially. Like when the report card came back on the testing of the strain, Jay actually texted it to me directly. And I couldn't read it exactly, but he was like, if this was a report card, we got all A's.
Nice.
You know, like we hit it a home run, basically, with this one.
That's awesome.
And yeah, like you were saying, he is very knowledgeable about what he's talking about, and I trust him a ton. Yeah, I was mentioning these like tie sticks, these Canagar-esque things that I was trying to make, and he was like, "Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about," and kind of.
Oh, with the leaves?
With the leaves, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. See. Yeah.
I mean, anything, it's the most interesting things that I talk to Jay about, but then he'll be like, oh, he's like, do you want to like infuse your alcohol at home with marijuana? And he was like, I did this thing and I did this project 2 weeks ago and now I have it all worked out. And he's run tests and everything, and he'll tell me how to do it. It's really crazy, even with the bank, which is our genetics company, with the seeds. We used to have people hand sorting the seeds, right? So when you get your crop of seeds, and once you finally actually break everything down, sift it, and have your seeds, you have like your viable seeds, your possibly viable seeds, so like A grade, B grade, and then definitely non-viable, you know? So then you take out all those non-viable ones, then you have to go back to your A's and B's and then really look at them and see which ones would be good, which ones are going to be 50-50, and you need to separate those out, right? Jay literally was looking online, found a company that did something with seeds, and he's like, they had this like suction and vacuum, and they were dealing with like the mass of the seeds, and because when they're matured at certain points, they would weigh around a certain amount, and like if they're less matured and they're not ready, they would be lighter, and these types of things. And literally like just went and like got some saws and built this thing out of wood and glass, and then like put a vacuum on it, and literally he sits there, and like what used to take people hours by hand, like on pharmacy count things, like sitting there like, you know, counting them like a pharmacist counts out pills, is now done in minutes with this contraption. There's like a negative pressure that drops everything down, and the positive pushes everything else through, and it catches any shaker like trim that may have been left over. Wow. Yeah, it's crazy. So so big shout outs to Jay.
Absolutely.
So StarMatter 303, how'd you guys come up with the name? I mean, I can make connections, obviously just through Stardawg Guava and 303, so we've got parts of that in the name.
Exactly.
But like StarMatter, how did that come about?
I feel like the main thing we wanted to do was be like somewhat truthful with the strain. Then, you know, the name would tell you what the parents were. And yeah, we didn't want to be too cheesy. There are a lot of weed names out there that I feel are extremely cheesy.
Yeah.
So we were trying to do a creative mix of something that, told you what the parents were, at least what one of the parents were, and kind of gave a description of kind of who we were. It kind of plays off of our disco-esque feel.
No, I was just about to say
Exactly.
disco-esque.
Exactly.
I was
Yeah,
like,
we all like space themes and things like that. And like Parris said, it's helpful when you are shopping and you can tell who the parents are or what the parents are.
Yeah.
By the name, and it's not too much of a stretch.
Yeah.
You know?
It's not something that's just made up out of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I'm trying to think of one right now, but I'm like, I can't put on the spot. I can't do it.
Well, I don't know. I don't want to be like an asshole, but like Gorilla Glue. Like, what's the parents of that? And like, what are the, you know what I mean? It's like something like that. A name.
It's a great example, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
There are other names like, what was it, like AK-47, I heard is Afghani Kush.
Yep.
It's like, that makes sense to me now. I never knew what the AK and the AK-4, you know.
Yep.
Stuff like that. You know, you want it to have some sort of play on the parent. You don't want it to just be from left
like
field,
Sage,
essentially.
Sage, it's what, Sativa Afghani Genetic Equilibrium.
Oh, wow.
I think is what the acronym is.
Nice.
So,
Okay.
So it actually has something too. So.
All right.
Not sure which way that's going. We actually, as we're waiting for the drop of the StarMatter 303 flower, which will be coming out in July, we actually just rolled up a couple of blunts here. We took some Stardawg and some 303, ground it up, did a 50-50 split, threw it in there. So, we just kind of improvised.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
We got to taste the strain when we were deciding on from our options. And, you guys are going to be very... excited when you taste it in July. It's delicious herb. It really is. It's weird to say, but it really is tasty herb.
Have you guys smoked the Stardawg or the 303 just on its own?
Yeah. So we got to try those. We got some samples. We left the tour with some samples.
Great tour.
Yeah.
Great tour.
Thank you.
Yep. And it was the right fit. It was the right flavor that we wanted. You know, we had this conversation about what we were looking for, and we're weed smokers, so we don't need weed that tastes like this or that or whatever.
Too fruity.
We like the smell and the taste of cannabis.
Right.
So it's nice when it really kind of captures the essence of the plant. That's kind of what we were looking for. And if there's like subtle notes, then that's cool too, But we didn't want something that was
like the Stardawg has that little bit of chem to it, know.
Exactly.
And
both of them, their parents are like chem or chem dog.
Yep.
Which is kind of a classic taste,
It definitely is. The Stardawg is literally one of my favorites. I always say the only way I can describe it, I may have said it on the podcast before, but it's so true. Whenever I smoke Stardawg, it's like gives me, I'm awake. It's sativa for me, you know, but
Absolutely.
I feel like someone took like a little helium injector and just put it in my ear and and then like my head just, so like it's not like sour diesel where I'm like thinking and like awake sativa. It's like I'm awake but my head's a balloon like floating around and I can't really
That's
I'm just really happy floating around.
Mr. Mackey from South Park.
Yeah, exactly.
Floating over to town, man.
And to give you guys a shout out, you guys won a Cannabis Cup for that Stardawg Guava, right?
We did,
Yeah,
yes.
exactly.
Yeah, we actually won a couple of Cannabis Cups with that Stardawg
Absolutely.
Guava. So,
Yeah, I got to say, from a collaboration standpoint, so, you know, I'm just pretty new to the cannabis industry, and I worked in beer for the last 15 years, and we did a lot of collaborations in the beer world, everything from chefs to artists to even some DJs. And a lot of times that they would come to the brewery, and when we talk about, like, you know, what kind of beer, and it was like, oh, I just want something that's easy to drink, or you guys tell me, you know, you're the experts. So this was my first collaboration with, you know, with Cannabis, and when these guys came in, I quickly realized, like, oh shit, like these guys are next level. Like, it was great to see how passionate and knowledgeable you guys were and thoughtful about the whole thing. You know, very discriminate. You know, so it was good that, you know, I think that you guys went through the process and obviously aligned on what strain to go with, and also even the name that you guys put into it. So just from a marketing standpoint, I gotta say this has been a fantastic experience just for me to, you know, work with you guys on this collaboration.
I really appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah, when we did talk about what we were looking for in a strain, we basically came to the conclusion that we wanted something that would be kind of in the hybrid area, which ours is a indica-leaning hybrid.
yep.
And something that, yeah, wasn't too fruity or anything like that. Something that, yeah, really gave the true essence of the weed. And we all kind of like more earthy, minty, diesel-y kind of taste in weed. So that's
Yeah.
kind of what we were looking for, and this kind of knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, no, it nails it. Like I said, with the strain name, like the cross, everything, like with the Motet, you know, it being your strain, I think it works on all levels. Talking about collaborations, this is something that I wanted to ask you guys. So let's move into the music realm here for a second. Collaborations, like you guys have all been playing music for how long? How long, Ryan, have you been playing music for?
Oh man.
On the spot.
When'd you start?
People are going to fact check this too when they listen. So
Your mom's listening, Jalbert.
It's being updated on Wikipedia right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we can change
It's been
it.
like 25 years.
25 years,
Yeah, I started. So I'm 36, and I started playing when I was 11.
quarter century.
This guy,
Yeah.
Fucking
putting in
huge.
time.
Huge.
Yeah,
And
a
it
lot of
shows.
hours.
Yeah.
Right, putting
Yeah.
in time.
Way more than that number of hours they say to be an expert.
That's right.
Yeah, 10,000.
Malcolm
I believe.
Gladwell, yeah.
Doubled or tripled down a while ago. Yeah.
Great reference.
Are you an expert now?
So, what about you, Parris? How long have you been playing music?
I started when I was 8 years old, and I'm 26, so 18 years.
18 years.
Put in, yeah.
Nice. So you've been playing music just 1 year less than you've been
Yeah,
alive.
alive. These are facts.
Does that make you feel
These
old?
are facts.
Yeah, I've been feeling old recently.
These
Yeah.
are-
No, I'm
these
the
are
baby of the
facts.
group by at least, what's Lyle? How old is Lyle? 33, 32?
Yeah, Lyle's 34 maybe.
At least 8 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So
And
is that the
Joey is the
biggest
same
gap?
age as my mom, so like I give Joey little jabs all the time. Like, Joey, wouldn't you love to have a kid my age right now?
So what's the biggest age gap?
Well, Watts
in
is
the
the
band?
eldest. You know, he started the band, and
Yeah.
we just
Yeah,
we
So-
won't
so
disclose
Paris
of
to
his
Watts?
age.
Yeah,
Paris
Paris
is the-
to Watts.
you're the
Paris to
baby,
Dave
huh?
Watts. All right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, but that's got to actually, I mean, again, collaborations. Like, think about like all these different people within like an age range and the things their experience and the music they are exposed to in the different time periods. You know, like the music you were exposed to as a teenager is the different than the music you were exposed to as a teenager, just
Absolutely.
being in like different generations. And then as you guys play, you create this like futuristic funk that's off the charts. Like, do you think that has something to do with like the collaboration of all of those different levels and styles and ears and, you know, the genres that you all like and influences?
Yeah, absolutely. You kind of just nailed the Motet's like MO or just like our inspiration and just what has kept this band fresh throughout the years. You know, in a lot of cases, a lineup change detrimental. But for us, it's always been a blessing in disguise. Every time, like when I joined the band, I joined in 2005, and so the band started in '99, I believe.
Yes.
When they really got going. And so when I joined in 2005, to me it seemed like, because I knew of the Motet and I was seeing them growing up in Massachusetts, I would see them at a couple festivals here and there, and so to me it seemed like I was joining a band that had already had this arc of a career, But then now looking back, obviously 14 years later, it's like,
And you guys are like,
that's how I feel now.
Been there like the whole time,
yeah. Still going.
But when I joined, I had some musical influences that I brought that Garrett also shared. Garrett had been in the band a couple years before me. Dominic Lally was in the band at the time, and so the band kind of like, I brought in a little bit of new inspiration, and the band kind of like took a turn, and we started playing that music. And then a new guy joins, and like Joey joined full time, and then he really brought the funk, and like it just changes and evolves, and it's beautiful, and we never know what's gonna happen, but it's great now, and like you said, having Parris, having Lyle, Drew on saxophone. It's like the inspiration, the influences, they just keep it fresh and keep the sound evolving. And so now we've really landed in this cool place where, Dave, as the founder of the band, there's like certain members who came up on, fully immersed in the roots of funk, which we all love. But then some of us are also more inspired by new music, by hip hop, R&B, reggae, whatever it is, electronica. And so just all the influences come together, and they create a sound that is definitely rooted in like the origins of like all of our favorite funk influences, but with, modern sounds just organically introduced.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say, being the newest member to the group, I never once felt pressure to be anything but me. You know what I mean? Like, coming into the group, they gave me the respect and the space to do me, even though I was like playing the lines from other generations of horn players. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And even talking to Drew in a lot of places where, he necessarily was feeling a change or something like that, he would say if we would come up to a section, if you don't necessarily feel this, we've been doing this forever, let's change it up. Even give me the freedom to change things that had been in place forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it really meant a lot to me moving out here. I moved out here from Chicago. Nice, Jalbert's trying to hit the ball. I moved out here from Chicago. And, just knowing these boys and a couple other musicians on the scene here, and just feeling like I didn't have to do anything but be me was really cool,
That's awesome. That's all you can ask for.
Yeah, that's all
really.
I can do naturally is be who I am. So it wasn't like they came and were like, try to do what the last guy did and like, do this. No, the whole time they were like, be who you are. Don't try to be anything else. Do your thing.
Yeah.
So
That's great. Yeah.
Absolutely.
You agree with that too, right, Ryan?
Yeah, absolutely.
I saw the mustache. You were doing what you wanted, man.
Yeah,
I loved it. I was hoping it was going to be on you tonight.
I had a good 2-year
he keeps
run.
it in his back pocket. He'll wear it when
Just
he wants
think
to.
it-
You know
okay.
what I mean?
Well, we did a couple years ago. We did Mustachio Bashio,
Oh, nice.
and so I was just like,
I'm going to keep it.
I was in a new like headspace. I was like, I'm just gonna grow a mustache.
You rock the fuck out of that thing, man.
I can't grow a beard. I have this
Yeah.
weird thing where I don't grow facial hair on the
Me
right side
too.
of my face,
I'm
so
with Jalbert.
I can grow like a
You're
solid
Jalbert.
left
See
chop.
his baby face, bro?
I can do it.
I was gonna say, man, a couple years.
I can do a solid left
you're
chop,
in.
but nothing on the right. So it's either a lopsided beard or I went stash for 2 years. It's funny. I just chopped it off like 3 weeks ago, and already looking back on, because I was like, I'm doing some side projects at some festivals, and they needed a promo shot, and I couldn't. All the photos of me just from weeks ago with a mustache, I'm just like, who is that guy? What is that?
Memories,
How did
man.
I?
Yeah.
Memories.
I was like, it feels like I had that look for just a couple weeks, but it was a solid 2 years.
That's all I knew.
Yeah, when I walked in,
All I
to
knew
say
about
hi
it.
to you, I
This
was
is
like,
weird to you.
Yeah, who is this guy?
yeah,
Who's this guy over here?
I think I know this guy.
First time I saw him last mustache, I was like, so what do I call you now?
That's awesome. So who are some people, like I was talking about this earlier, and the collaboration thing, like musically, who have you all collaborated with that you've, I mean, probably they've all been great, but like what stuck out as like a favorite for you, whether it's with the Motet or whether it's just one of you guys individually? I'd love to know.
One that comes to mind is Leo Nocentelli from the Meters. I mean, as a guitarist, he just practically invented funk guitar. So we did some gig in New Orleans. It was March of maybe like 3 years ago. I remember we did that gig, and then we went back the next month for Jazz Fest. But that one was really special. Man, just playing with him and playing his tunes and just hearing his sound and just
and playing like with that
it
sound,
was,
like
it was
as
the
opposed to
Motet
just
featuring
listening
Leo
it, yeah.
Nocentelli, and we played some of his original tunes, a couple Meters things. But yeah, just being right there and having him play with my band. I mean, just the countless hours that I spent listening to him play. And also, I mean, the guy wrote some of the most influential funk tunes and funk riffs ever. I mean, while we were like right before we went on stage, I had this weird thought that, tunes that he wrote like Sissy Strut, like that's being played in garages or bars or like
Cruise ships,
open jams
everywhere, dude. Open
like
seas,
right now, like
everywhere.
right before we hit, I was
Facts.
like, right now,
Facts.
there's a bunch of bands playing this dude's tune, and like I wonder when
He
there's
knows.
not people playing his tunes.
That's like not happening.
Like
Yeah,
every
that's
single
always-
day, people
yeah.
are playing this guy's music, and that's pretty huge.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
No, that's huge. That's I mean, the passion in you saying it, but I can see like how happy that is in your eyes and on your face. That's a big deal.
The Meters, man, that's as real as it gets. Yeah,
For real.
and I've been able to make music with all those guys, which is amazing.
That's awesome.
Except for Art, but yeah.
That's amazing. What about you, Parris?
Yeah, I've had the great fortune to play with some of the Meters as well. I used to play with a group called Dumpster Funk before these guys.
Yep.
So being with some of the Nevilles, Ivan and Ian and Nick Daniels, Tony Hall, just like some real New Orleans legends, gave me the opportunity to do cool stuff like that. Play with Trombone Shorty. Kind of like the mayor of New Orleans. I forgot where we were exactly, but he was. We weren't even in New Orleans. But after the show, he comes up to me. He's like, "Yo, you sounded great. Blah blah blah. If you're ever in New Orleans, you need anything, hit me up." I'm like thinking, for one, I don't have your number. I'm not gonna ask for it. And two, like we're not in New Orleans, but like, okay, you know what I mean? If like my trumpet breaks randomly.
Yeah.
I'm gonna find his number and I'm gonna call him.
Yeah. Maybe that's the test.
Yeah,
Maybe
he
that's
said
it.
if you
He's like,
Yeah.
get in touch with me, and then if you just figure
gotta
out a
be a
way to how to
musical-
do it, he's like,
Exactly.
dude, that's it. You passed the test.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's gotta be. I figure it's gotta be a musically related, like favor. But yeah, and I've had the fortune to actually record an album with. Oh man.
Drummer.
Yeah, I just forgot his name. The weed works, people.
Yeah,
Someone
this
Weed
moment
works.
sponsored
Weed
by
works.
StarMatter 303.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter.
I saw Trombone Shorty just at Coachella a couple years ago, and I didn't know too much about him. And somebody was like, "Hey, check this guy out." And he played like one of the earlier sets in the day where there's not as many people, and he fucking blew that place up. You know, it's outdoor venue, right? So you got a lot of open air, and it just attracted a great crowd. And he was impressive,
He's
man.
a great
That's-
musician.
yeah.
He's a great entertainer. He plays the hell out of trombone and trumpet. He's an incredible musician all around.
His
Absolutely.
stage presence was amazing, man.
Absolutely.
He brought it.
But yeah, there's no greater feeling than getting to play with your influences. You know, like
Yeah. I can only imagine.
We get to play some cool shows and we get to play some cool venues, but the most rewarding thing is actually when somebody that we know wants to play music
That's
with us.
awesome.
Yeah.
That is
Somebody
awesome.
that we've
You're on
listened
that
to
level.
and that we've learned from.
Yeah.
That is by far the most rewarding thing.
It's got to be a pretty humbling experience
Yeah.
too. Like, yo, you want to play music with me? That's
Right.
really
Yeah.
That's got to be a crazy experience.
I feel like the first one for me was this band I used to play with in Chicago called The Herd, opened for George Clinton when he came through Chicago.
Nice.
And that was like the big, my big moment, and we were just opening, you know what I mean? But it was just like, wow, I think I've made it, you know? My whole family came out, like, we're opening for George Clinton, you know what I mean? And my aunt, who actually played a lot of George Clinton for me growing up, was there as well. And that was a really proud moment for my mom and my grandma and for me as well. But, yeah, looking back on stuff like that, it is crazy when you can overlap paths with your influences, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and that's also how you take those influences and then take all these new things that you guys have been doing. Just when you were just talking about the Motet and all, you know, kind of how the genres and the influences over the years blend, and you kind of see that happening. I mean, you just said it again, you know,
Right.
it works on all of these levels.
Absolutely.
So it's that's awesome. I've always wanted to ask you guys too this. I'm just going to keep saying I always wanted to ask you guys and put you on the spot. But I have wanted to because I've seen quite a few Halloween shows over the years living here in the Front Range. And you guys always do a huge theme and a cover. How do you guys decide on which one to do? Do you guys have like someone choose each year, or you know, as you go around, or do you guys all throw something in a hat? Like how does that work out, or is it a secret?
Yeah, it's a secret. Let's move on. No, just
right.
kidding.
All right, we'll edit all that out.
No, so, you know, a lot of it has to do with the instrumentation. Obviously, musically, it's nice when it aligns. I mean, I don't know why we chose to do Madonna that one year. I know that I thought it would be hilarious and ironic, but then the idea actually progresses, and we're in rehearsals learning, you know, rearranging,
Exactly.
rearranging Madonna.
Writing
tunes.
down
So,
forms, yeah.
the other guys would probably prefer that I hadn't even mentioned that one, but so my first Halloween was Michael Jackson, which was awesome, a huge learning experience, and then, you know, the other ones that we've done, Prince, Earth, Wind and Fire, Sly and the Family Stone. It's like, it's all funk, soul, party music with horns and with vocals, and kind of that fits our instrumentation. So that's big. And honestly, we kind of ran out of bands to cover. We did The Dead one year. We did Funk is Dead, where we rearranged all the music, gave it different feels. You know, some of it was more like James Brown, some of it was more like Earth, Wind and Fire. We like rearranged everything, wrote horn lines and whatever. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work. We went on from that to we were trying to just, you know, we did these mixtape shows for a while because there were so many deep cuts from each year. So we were doing like mixtape 1980. And that was really fun because that was like the 1980 was a cool year for like the crossover between late 70s funk and kind of some of the 80s electro feels coming into it. We did 75, and, you know, we got to just do all these deep cuts, and maybe some of the music people were familiar with, but a lot of it was, you know, our fans were just like, they didn't even know.
Cuts.
Yeah, we picked just really deep cuts because we thought it was a cool way to turn our fans on to new music, you know. But yeah,
way.
it's been really fun. I mean, it's been a great learning experience. I mean, doing Earth, Wind and Fire was like, I mean, that's just every year, just like the Halloween, just like it changed my playing. It changed our writing as a band. You could see like the next album that we were just taking some of these vibes and these
that's
sections
cool. That's really cool.
taking the inspiration from there, and it's hard to really like you just don't really absorb these influences until you actually like are shedding it for hours and just fully immersing yourself in it, and then it kind of really comes out musically in an organic way. But yeah, that's basically it. We'll throw a bunch of names in the hat, and but we're at the point now where we're moving on from doing the cover shows for Halloween. We played all of the artists that we have been really influenced by, and we kind of covered all those bases, and we did the mixtape shows, and we thought that was really fun. And now we're at this point where we're just grinding so hard on original music that we're always going to include new covers. I know that this is going to air after our Jazz Fest set, which is this weekend, but we're doing a whole 90s night. And
that's awesome.
That might be the last cover show.
So what if you 90s night, like what artists are?
It's like 90s R&B and funk.
Okay,
I know 90s is like real wide.
Yeah.
It's like
we're calling it 90s funk because it's like the R&B kind of new jack,
right?
Like hip hop, type feels like anything from En Vogue to
absolutely
Next.
Michael Jackson.
Is Tone Loc gonna show up?
That would be sick. Or like we had like Manny Fresh or somebody show up.
I'm just thinking some of those like what is it,
Mark
like
Morrison.
Young MC and something.
Yeah.
We got Crisscross coming back just for us, people.
Nice.
I saw this dude on a Harley today bumping Mark Morrison, Return of the Mac. Real talk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Has the Motet ever Rick-rolled a crowd?
No.
No,
wow.
That's an interesting idea.
That is a great idea.
Yeah.
Just in the middle of a song.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity,
You could do it.
What was
really
tougher
well.
to adapt, Madonna or Grateful Dead?
Madonna. I mean, it was just like some of the, we came up with some really cool ideas for a lot of the music because we had to. But I don't know why we did that.
Yeah,
honestly, I have no idea.
I'm sorry, I didn't know that.
I feel like I
I
was a driving force in making that happen, just because I thought it'd be so funny, and it just totally backfired. Although I will say, to this day, some of my friends come up and they say that was like their favorite Motet Halloween show.
I feel
for
like it would
whatever
be my
reason.
favorite. I really do, just because it's so out there. I
was
love
out
it.
there. Yeah.
Well, you guys are also talking about the new music, and that's what you're focusing on. You just recently released an album at the beginning of this year, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Death or Devotion?
Yep.
Yeah. So, kind of what went into that album and the sound and everything, speaking of all of these influences and kind of start to where you guys are now. There's a lot of history, like a lot of talent, a lot of skill in all of these different areas that's all blended together. How did you guys get to this sound that you put on the album here?
Sure, I'll take this one.
You just,
I'll
you just
definitely
said,
talk,
hey, let's
but,
jam.
How'd y'all start off? Because when I came in, there was like a bunch of shells, no horn lines.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So this time we just tried a different process where the rhythm section guys get together and do a lot of writing. So we'll do rhythm section rehearsals. I think that's the plan for the next one, which we're starting up.
I was just gonna say after Jazz Fest
in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So the other album, by the time our last album, Death or Devotion, was released, we're already writing for the next one, ready to start working out these tunes in a couple weeks when we get back from Jazz Fest. But so we're probably gonna use the same process where the rhythm section gets together. So myself, Garrett, our bass player, Joey on keys, and Dave, our drummer. We'll book a bunch of rehearsals, weekly rehearsals, or 1 or 2 a week, and you just have to have tunes ready to go. We'll get them in there, email them out. We all kind of do it at home, and then we come in just ready to run the stuff, try different arrangements, kind of kick around ideas, kind of see how we can shape the tune best to eventually record a rough track, send it to Lyle, see what Lyle's feeling. Lyle will lay down vocals and then send it to the horns, and then the horns write lines kind of around the vocals, and then everything can be mix and match. Like sometimes the horns come up with something super dope, and it's like, oh, that needs to be the hook. Like that feels like the hook. So like let's move this section around, and so it's very loose, but kind of just bringing in tunes, like skeleton ideas of tunes, and playing them a bunch and just kind of seeing how we can shape it. And but we found this process, while time consuming and pretty tedious, it works well for us. There's 7 of us. Getting us all, if we all just like show up at a rehearsal and like, let's write an album, there's not going to be a lot that happens.
Everyone get stoned and write an album.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, let's go smoke weed for a half hour and then make our next record. In this 4-hour rehearsal. So it's we found that this is kind of the most productive way, and it's kind of like it's almost like the Motown Berry Gordy assembly line style.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where you kind of just like he found a process that works, that was really productive.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing, is just keeping it moving.
Yeah.
You can't just sit around and wait for a beam of inspiration to come down from the heavens. It's just like grind out some work at home, bring it in, like let's get playing it, and then like, okay, good enough, send it to Lyle, send it to the horns. Let's all get together, play the tunes, and then this time around, on the last record, we didn't get to work out a lot of the stuff live. So I think this time around we're really kind of like hitting the ground running right after the last album drops. So we're going to try to get these tunes in rotation, because that's when you can really tell how the form is flowing and really what how the crowd reacts to these tunes. On past albums we've just recorded an arrangement that worked, and then that's on the record, and then we start playing it live and we change it because it just feels differently. But yeah, that kind of sums up our process for this one.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say, like, I got out to Denver January 4th, and that day Lyle picked me up from the airport and we went directly to a rehearsal. I didn't like drop my shit off at a friend's house first. I didn't like do nothing. Like, it was as soon as I came out here, we hit the ground running, like, bam, we're going to rehearsal.
Yeah.
And they would send me these tracks, and okay, these are the things we're going to go into the studio and work on, try to write some horn lines or whatever. And I would actually chart out a bunch of horn lines. I would come in with kind of my favorites, but I would have a bunch just in case some of them didn't work. And we would try them out, and we would see if they work. Drew, the sax player, gave me a lot of freedom to kind of mold, and I would kind of bring things in, and him and Joey, our keyboard player, would kind of shape them and mold them, basically.
Yeah.
Being kind of a new, fresh voice to the group, they allowed me to bring in as many ideas as I felt I could, and they kind of shaped and molded what I brought in. And I feel like the process worked really well. Being in the studio, you can't be sensitive or anything. So if you put out an idea and they're like, that doesn't really work, you can't be like, no, this is my baby. You know what I mean? You got to be like, okay, cool, let's move on to something else, basically. So each day we would come in to record maybe 2 or 3 songs, and I would come in with a bunch of different ideas. And the first day I thought we were going to like run them, and no, this is recording day. I didn't realize that was the first day was recording day. So it was like, all right, cool, let's try out these horn lines right now. And like, luckily they worked out, and everyone was real cool. And everyone has their days. There's rhythm section day, Lyle kind of has a vocal day, there's a horn day, and people will come in and out on other people's days, so people would come in on the horns day and listen to our horn lines. Oh, that sounds good, or like, try this here. Joey was kind of there the whole time, being the executive producer, correct? Mm-hmm. And but yeah, like, Garrett would come around when his tune was being played, or you would come around when we're playing one of your tunes or something like that. And yeah, just kind of help shape the tune. The cool thing about this group, and I would say many groups probably, but you bring in a tune, they kind of respect that it's your baby. So you kind of have final say, even though it's a democracy. People can be like, no, I think this should go here, no, this should go here. But like, if you really feel passionate about it, if this is like your original idea, you kind of can mold things in a certain way. But nothing like that happened. Everyone was really cool and open about making it the best it could be, you know.
Yeah, like the way Ryan you were explaining it, you know, taking it all and all these people who've practiced all of this time. You guys are going home, like cranking out your chops, and then when it's time to come together, it's just let's see what works because we all have all of these ideas that we've all been working on, and somehow that puzzle is going to get put together just naturally with everyone working together with all of their ideas and going home and working on their stuff and bringing those new ideas. It's interesting the way that you describe it, but it really makes sense.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, and you know, Parris started talking about, you know, the tracking process, which is typically rhythm section tracking. You know, the four of us set up in a room, we play together, we do maybe 5 takes max because it doesn't get better than typically.
If you can't get it in 5 takes, it's a wrap.
Not gonna happen.
It's a wrap. Yeah,
It's the universe telling you something.
Yeah, basically.
Like either the arrangement's not working, something, you know, you change something, but you're not going to play it back.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but yeah, we'll just do some takes and then we try to do minimal editing. You know, we like it. We like
raw.
We like it raw.
Yeah.
And then you know, Lyle will track vocals, horns, and then we'll get to like the fun part is, you know, going in and doing like the dubbing and the delays and the
adding the effects,
and,
right?
You
Absolutely,
know, the little
trippy
squiddly doos.
And that's how I say, like, that's how I said when they send me these shells or whatever. It's because they have these rhythm days, so then they can send everyone the basis of what this track is. You know what I mean? It gives you the map essentially.
Yeah.
So without them doing that first, there's nothing to paint on, essentially. There's no canvas. They are the canvas, essentially. So they go lay that down. It gives Lyle something to paint on. It gives us something to paint on over Lyle, you know. And we're sometimes given things before Lyle, or we may come up with horn lines before Lyle does, but most of the time Lyle's lyrics come before ours. And we try to dance around Lyle, you know, pay respect to the vocalist.
Being a vocalist is something I just gotta say I could never do. Like, even if I ever wrote anything down on paper,
be a
even
poet,
the most like popular I would never repeat that out loud to someone, especially in song. I would tear that piece of paper up. I'm like, I couldn't do it. Yeah. But that's not my forte. It's you know, it's other people. So, but respective vocalists. I'm sorry.
No, that's exactly it. It's like, you know, you get given something with a painting already with Lyle's vocals on it, and you just find your places to accent everything. Horns kind of nicely accent things. There's sometimes when we're given the shell before the vocals, and then we can kind of paint with broader strokes, if you will. Yeah. But
where does or if it does, like, does Cannabis come into the process at all for you guys individually as a group? How does that come into play? You know,
Absolutely.
I'm sure there's times when it helps and times when it doesn't.
Oh man, I mean, with writing, it's super important. I mean, I don't remember the last piece of music that I wrote not, you know, inspired by ganja. Well, obviously, I mean, I smoke every day, so when it's time to make music, I don't know why I would just stop.
It's
literally the best time to do it.
That is literally writer's block. Right there.
But yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just why I find Cannabis so inspiring in music or just in life is that it just gives you a new perspective. So anything that you can do in life just to like have a different perspective or a broader perspective on your life or music, it's just super important. And you know, like I was saying, I've been playing guitar for 25 years now. I mean, it's hard to just like play a riff that I haven't played before or hear something differently. You know, it's my instrument. I play it every day, but take a huge bong rip and I can play something simple, and it's, you know, I'm not trying to force more on it. You know, I'm not trying to add in all this extra harmony. I'm not trying to do too much. You can just kind of step back and almost hear hear the music as
like give it the
somebody
space.
else is
Yeah.
playing it, or just in a different way altogether. Or I can I'll play keyboards, which I suck at, but if I'm feeling inspired, I can find something there. I can find a sound that just...
And it's a different way of getting there, too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so, or like a drum beat, I'll find different drum loops, or I'll program something. And so Cannabis is so important for that. Yeah, just to hear music differently and, keep it fresh.
Yeah. That's awesome. Parris, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, again, I smoke all day, every day. Wake up, go to sleep, smoking weed. So I don't remember the last time that I basically did anything when I wasn't high. But
that has got to be the quote of LV culture of all time, man. Like, that is fan-freaking-tastic.
Fucking living it.
But especially music. No, it is a big part of my day and my life. I choose not to drink, basically. I will drink. I'm not, afraid to. But I basically decided not to drink or use alcohol like most people do. I use weed like most people use alcohol, essentially.
Yeah.
And I use alcohol like most people smoke weed, on a very rare occasion.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of my relationship with weed, essentially. It's kind of my alcohol. It's my beer. You don't wake up and drink a beer or some shit. It's my coffee.
Some people do.
It's my, you're right. You're not lying.
Yeah. That's a problem.
Right. But no, I just found that it really does allow me to get into this mental space where I'm not really worried about time or messing up as much. It really allowed me to practice a ton in college. Because when I play, essentially, I close my eyes and just having my eyes closed and practicing, you get into this space, and the next thing you know, 45 minutes have gone by, and then, all right, I'll practice this next thing, and you practice this for this, and you just don't think about what you're doing. You're just enjoying the time that you're spending.
Time doesn't exist at that point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it really allows for me to practice without getting frustrated, I guess, necessarily. I mean, I can get frustrated without smoking, or I can get not frustrated without smoking or whatever. But it definitely just allows me to get into this headspace where I'm not as self-conscious or not as worried about messing up. I don't know,
No, I think that's cool, because, that's what a lot of people strive for in this world, right? Whether it's they play sports, they go for a run, they read a book. People are looking for that opportunity to clear their head and not worry about, time, as you said.
Exactly.
It's always a good thing when you can get your mind in that place.
Exactly. And before I came here, I was trying to practice this etude, essentially, which is this written out thing, whatever, music.
Can you explain it in very
etude
extreme detail, please?
Yeah, an etude is
No,
not extreme detail, but an etude is a jazz etude is a written out solo, I would say, over specific chord changes. So I'm trying to train my ear to hear these chord changes to this song called Stablemates specifically. And I tried to practice for I set my alarm for 15 minutes so I could practice real quick and then get dressed and come here and, smoked a bong. And next thing you know, it seemed like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But my alarm went off. And it's oh, shit. I was in the middle of doing that, but I guess I got to come do that. It's it's time kind of. Not at all. No, not even like that. But time kind of evaporates. No. I practice intermittently throughout the day. So for whatever reason, right before I came here, I was I'm going to practice, but I'm going to make sure I come here. So I'm going to set this alarm,
Yeah.
And just time disappeared as soon as I started to practice for some reason. Probably because I've been smoking weed. But.
And because
or
you're
I
into
like
what
trumpet.
you're doing.
Yeah, or I really like the trumpet. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It's probably both.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, we actually do a segment here towards the end of our show every time. It's called "What You Token About," and since we're talking about what you're talking about while you're rehearsing, practicing, creating these types of things, we go around and each person just kind of talks about what strain, what flavor, or like what type of way they're enjoying smoking at the moment. So, and why. So I don't know if anyone wants to start first.
I'll
I don't
kick
know.
this
I
off
think,
for
yeah,
sure.
you look like you're ready to go.
Keep rolling, Parris.
Easy, yeah. So again, I love weed.
And I think we all agree collectively, first, it's the StarMatter 303.
Absolutely.
So,
if
first
we
and
had
foremost,
more of our strain
yeah.
to be smoking, that's what I'd be smoking right now.
Exactly.
Currently, what I'm smoking is Gorilla Glue, I believe. And the PAX cartridge that I have is our strain. My favorite strain in the whole world is Louis the 13th, which is like a OG, I believe, or like a Kush. And I strictly smoke out of bongs at my house.
Straight bongs.
Yeah, it's really funny. A friend, Josh's cousin Ari, came over to my apartment, and I just packed a bong and handed it to him, and Ari just started coughing really hard. And it was the first time I realized, like, wow, I guess maybe not everyone smokes bongs all the time. I should get a bowl for my apartment, something else to smoke out of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm not just crushing everyone's lungs. But yeah, I just basically smoke bongs.
Nice.
Yeah.
And the Louis, fucking great
Louis
strain.
the 13th is my
Great strain.
favorite, dude. Whenever I can get my hands on that, I grab at least 2 ounces of it.
There you go.
Yeah.
What about you, Jalbert?
I like bongs too. You know, I just
My dog.
All right, I'm
But I
seeing a
don't-
pattern.
I
here
don't
with the
take
music and
huge. I mean,
everything, too.
yeah, I'm old school. It's just like I don't take huge rips though. I mean, like you can just take whatever size bong rip you want.
False.
It's just
I'm just playing.
well, it's gonna be substantial either way. But you know, you don't have to like blast your brain out. That's fun too at night. But I don't. You know, as far as strains, I honestly like to switch it up. And to me, it's like it's less about the strain and more about just the grower and the care that's put into it. You know, I like variety. I have, you know, some of my favorites. You know, I like, but I smoke like sativas in the day and indicas at night. It's always like a fun part of my day, just deciding when I'm going to switch over. Am I ready yet? No, let's like hang on the sativa train.
Yeah.
You know,
It
and
doesn't
then maybe,
come and go with the sun.
Yeah, the sun is setting. You know, maybe okay. Then it's like
That
a
might be the
surefire
play,
sign to
yeah.
switch over.
Right.
But yeah. So like during the day, you know, I like diesels and I like Durban Poison. I like for indicas, I love different Kushes. You know, OG, Triangle Kush. But like I said, I'm not like
Broad spectrum.
really particular with strains. I just quality herbs, you know.
That's awesome.
I try to be particular.
Yeah.
I like smoking indicas all day.
Well, I think we all are, and we're lucky enough to be able to do that openly too here in
Right.
Colorado, right? It's just
Coming from Chicago, especially. That was
Yeah.
like my last worry in the world. Is like having to like creep around smoking weed in Chicago, you know.
yeah.
And coming here was just like cool. I play music for a living. I tour, and I can smoke weed when I come home openly. Like I'm winning. Checking it all off. You know what I mean?
It's working out pretty well.
Checking it all
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, we tour all over the country, and it's nerve-wracking as a consumer.
Truth.
Yeah.
You know, you're just always looking over your shoulder. I mean, you can't really get too comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. A little bit of anxiety kicks in.
Yeah, it's fun when we get to do like a West Coast tour. We'll
Yeah.
fly from Colorado to Washington
Yeah.
and go down to Oregon and California now. You know,
Well, like going
And
out to
down
New
to
York
Nevada.
or some shit. It's like
yeah.
Yeah. It's a
Super-
different
Yeah,
deal.
you
Yeah.
just gotta be careful about flaunting it.
yeah.
You know,
Oh,
like I just
not even- yeah.
moved from New York City, and it's definitely more relaxed there.
Right.
But if you show it off, if you're doing it brazenly, they'll get you.
Exactly.
Yeah, just don't be stupid about it. I guess that's
Exactly.
the way to say it.
It's nice though. My home state, Massachusetts,
Yeah,
Yeah.
is
you
legal
guys are
now.
fully green now.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yep. So now there's a dispensary in East Hampton. I grew up in Chicopee, and that's like
So I think it's
15 minutes from my house.
is it
That's the
Northampton or
closest.
East Hampton?
There's
Spencer, he already
the
done
Northampton
math.
one opened first.
Okay,
And now
yeah,
there's one in East Hampton.
Oh, there you go.
Northampton's like 20 minutes from me.
that is a great place for a dispensary.
But yeah, man, just, you know, going back there and just remembering just being paranoid
Yeah.
all the time and just you just can't relax, you know.
Yeah.
And now it's actually illegal, and it's hard to even wrap my head around. It's a beautiful thing.
It is. Yeah, we're all very, very lucky. So, All right. So what do you guys have coming up? I know that this podcast is going to come out, I think, right after this weekend. So you guys are heading down to New Orleans right after this, doing Jazz Fest, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Going to have a lot of fun down there. And then what other tour dates do you guys have coming up? I know you have Red Rocks coming up later, but I know there's a lot of stuff going on in between.
Yeah, we got some Midwest dates coming up. Going out to Jersey and Massachusetts. We're playing this Backwoods Festival in Ozark, Arkansas.
Yeah, it's summer festival season, so we're kind of hopping around doing weekend festivals a lot. Strange Creek Festival, also in Western Mass. Backwoods in Arkansas, right?
Yeah, Ozark, Arkansas.
Bonfire Music Fest. Bunch of festivals, pretty much every weekend. So.
Yeah, as soon as like the end of May hits, we're basically booked every weekend. Is what it seems.
Yeah, and then festival season. Now it goes until November, but
As soon as it's not going to stop. It's just going to be around the clock.
Yeah.
At its core,
Constant
festival
for us.
season is like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
Right. It's supposed to be.
But it kind of now it's like 11 months.
Yeah.
But yeah, festival season is always fun because we hit it pretty hard. In the fall, we were grinding. We were out on the road a bunch. And then the turn of the new year, we hit it really hard also because that was, pushing the album. And so we just got off 2 pretty serious tour cycles. So it's going to be nice being home during the week so we can get cracking on this new record and then just kind of do the Weekend Warrior Festival thing during the summer.
Nice.
And we'll pick up touring in the fall. And then kind of hit all the cities again, get back on the bus.
Nice. Do you guys have a favorite venue?
Red Rocks.
Yeah, I was like, Red Rock.
Red Rocks.
Yeah, we
Obviously.
we
It's like the number
actually
one.
get to
It's-
headline Red Rocks, which
Yeah.
still is unbelievable.
July,
yeah.
right?
So yeah, July.
12.
July
Yeah.
12th.
Plug.
That's my sister's
Yeah.
birthday.
Plug,
I'm gonna
July
fly
12th,
her
July
out here.
12th.
My younger sister.
Very
I'm
cool.
gonna bring her.
Oh,
That's
nice.
what I'll do.
Absolutely.
That'll be
Yeah.
a birthday present.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we're playing with our buddies Galactic and
yeah.
Moon
How
Hooch.
awesome is that?
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that you
I mean,
guys
talk
are
about
playing
some
with.
early influences.
I know.
It's like
Exactly.
listening to those guys. I bought, what was it, Crazy Horse Mongoose, I think was the first one, like in the 90s or something like that.
I just remember
Early
sitting for a
2000s.
while when I was drumming a lot more and like trying to learn the Stanton Moore grooves off of it and just
Nice.
yeah,
New Orleans,
yeah.
man.
yeah.
New Orleans
they're good.
royalty. Absolutely.
Yeah. And who else is on? Who else you guys
And
got
Moon
playing?
Hooch.
Moon Hooch.
If you haven't checked out those
Super
guys,
dope.
That's an
definitely
amazing
check
name.
them
Yeah,
out.
that's what I was gonna
It's
say,
almost
yeah.
it's almost as good as what was the song? Stablemates.
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 Yeah.
That's a good name for a song
It's
too.
a great song. If you don't know
Yeah.
Stablemates, go ahead and just YouTube Stablemates for me. It's a
I'm-
great jazz standard.
I'm going to.
Please do.
Yeah.
Yeah, Moon Hooch is this trio, 2 saxophone players and a drummer, and they started in the New York subways, but they're all virtuosic musicians.
Absolutely. Like
And
one of
then-
the sax players is doing this like massage table with a bass clarinet. He's like that resonates the massage table. They're just like extremely like they see music in a whole another way essentially. Our sax player is virtuosic in his own way and he adores these sax players, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then one of them is like an astrophysicist or something.
Yeah, they gave me a book
And
and was
play
like read
saxophone?
this. It's
What
insane.
is
He wrote
this?
a book.
Not just a book, his book.
His
Yeah.
book. He's like, yeah, read this. And I read the first couple pages
Is
and
it
it's like
quantum physics? Is that what his?
no, his I'm not exactly sure about that guy.
He's like a mad genius.
They're all really gifted. Like if
There's
they
some
weren't
serious
playing their
talent.
instruments,
Yeah.
And the
yeah, they
subways,
would be
man,
doing
some serious talent.
other serious things.
And now they have
Absolutely.
some really cool like avant electronica experimental sounds. So you're not just hearing saxophone and drums. It's
Moon Hooch.
synth-
They're so
Check 'em out.
dope.
Yeah,
they're so
yeah,
dope.
they're
Yeah,
so
So
dope.
that's
I'm
all,
already sold.
that's
and I
all
haven't
on
even
July
heard of 'em.
12th. That's
yeah,
the
they're
whole-
going to
July
kick off the
12th,
night
yeah.
there first, and then Galactic,
Absolutely.
and then the Motet.
Awesome.
Bringing it home.
It's that's a
Yo,
that's a
I'm
nice
just gonna
card.
put
That's
this
a nice
out here
lineup there.
right now. I hope we have some new music for y'all on that show. What is it right now? April?
Some
Yeah.
originals?
Some originals. You think we can have
We'll see.
pull one new original maybe?
See if our process
Rick
holds
roll 'em.
true.
Yeah,
the
even
process.
just one. Yeah, I don't know.
Rick roll.
We'll definitely have some surprises.
Yeah.
Saying Rick
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll absolutely have some surprises.
Then
But
we
yeah,
can
we're
ice the
about
whole
to
audience.
get into the studio or get into the workshop again and start writing tunes. And the process does take a while. Absolutely. I've got a couple tunes. I know Joey's got a couple tunes. I know you probably got a couple tunes. This is going to be the first album, this next one, that I get to bring my own shell. You know, I was kind of presented all the shells and I got to put my touch on all of them. But now I can kind of present to the band my own couple ideas. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
Bring my own little splash or whatever.
That's awesome. Well, I'm excited to hear it, so I'm looking forward to checking you guys out at Red Rocks. I don't want to intrude on too much more of that rehearsal time and practice time, so we appreciate you guys coming by. You guys can check out the Motet. It's themotet.com, at the Motet on Twitter and Instagram, the Motet on Facebook, and official Motet on Spotify. Are there any other ways that you want to, like SMS text or anything like that you guys want to throw out?
That'd be tight if we had our own. I know somebody. We can't get our own like text chain. We should do that. We'll probably do that.
All right.
100.
Is there anything else you guys wanna plug or talk about before we get out of here?
Man, I think you covered everything.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we
Said it
really
all.
appreciate you guys being here. We're really excited about the StarMatter 303.
Yep.
The pods, everybody keep checking the clinic's Instagram, like Facebook, all of those things. So _clinic_Colorado on Instagram. Just search the clinic on Facebook. Follow all of that because you'll know when it's dropping. And I'm sure if they follow you guys will, probably if you're around, be grabbing some too. Who knows? But
Absolutely.
also around July, look for the flower to start coming out too.
Cannot wait.
That's going to be awesome.
You better beat me to the stores.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be behind the counter selling it. Hey, what do you want? I'm actually gonna talk to somebody. Let me try to do that.
There you go. And I'm sure there will be a story about it on our blog, thecliniccolorado.com/blog. So, all right, Ryan, Parris, we really appreciate you guys being here. Thank you
Appreciate
so
you
much.
guys.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
guys.
having us.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good stuff.